On a brisk morning in April 1966, the Johnson family, filled with anticipation, embarked on a journey to Yellowstone National Park. Dennis Eugene Johnson, fondly called Denny by his family, was the youngest at 8 years old. He has sandy blonde hair that glinted in the sunlight, brown eyes reflecting a world of curiosity, and a notable scar across his abdomen, a mark of his bravery from a childhood adventure. Denny, his parents, and his older sister traveled from their home in Inyokern, California, to Yellowstone's vast, unspoiled expanses. Though the family was not strangers to outdoor excursions, they felt a different air of excitement about this trip. With its geysers, wildlife, and endless skies, Yellowstone was where nature whispered ancient tales. On April 12th, the Johnsons found themselves at the Cascade Picnic Area, a serene spot a quarter-mile north of Canyon Junction. The area, surrounded by towering pines and the gentle murmur of the nearby river, was the perfect backdrop for their family outing. Denny felt a sense of freedom in his dark red long-sleeve shirt and tan Levi's. His size 8 laced moccasin-type hiking boots crunched over the underbrush as he explored the area around the picnic spot. The family laid out their picnic, laughter mingling with the rustling leaves. But this idyllic scene was soon disrupted. Denny's sister, playful and unaware of the park's vastness, wandered off. Panic set in as her absence was noticed. Denny, ever the protective younger brother, immediately alerted his parents. Knowing his son's familiarity with the outdoors from their hunting trips in California, Denny's father decided they should split up to cover more ground. Denny set off in one direction with a nod of understanding, while his father went in another. The boy's confidence in his abilities was evident in his stride as he disappeared into the thickets. Hours passed and Denny's sister was found, but there was no sign of Denny. The family's calls for him echoed unanswered through the trees. As the sunlight faded, hope turned to despair. The park rangers were alerted and a search began. The search party scoured the area for the next 2 weeks, traversing the rugged landscapes of Yellowstone. They called out for Denny, hoping against hope for a response. They combed through the forest for any sign, a footprint, a piece of clothing, but the wilderness kept its secrets. Denny had vanished without a trace, his disappearance shrouded in mystery. Back at the picnic area, the remnants of their meal lay untouched, a stark reminder of the day's tragic turn. Denny's mother clutched his jacket, tears streaming down her face as she whispered his name into the wilderness. His stoic yet visibly shaken father coordinated with the search teams, refusing to leave the park without his son. Denny's sister, young and bewildered, clung to her parents, her eyes searching the woods for her brother. As days turned into weeks, hope dwindled. The possibility that Denny might have been picked up by a passing vehicle was considered, but with no leads or sightings, it remained a theory. The Johnson family returned home to California, their hearts heavy with the unresolved fate of their son. The story of Denny's disappearance spread through the community, a sad reminder of nature's unpredictability. This family held on to the memories of their bright, adventurous boy, hoping for answers that never came. Years passed, and the mystery of what happened to Denny in the vast wilderness of Yellowstone National Park remained unsolved. It lingered as a poignant tale of a family's loss, a young boy's unexplained disappearance, and the unforgiving nature of the wild. September 6, 2010, dawned like any other day in the quiet suburb of Burtonsville, Maryland. Stuart Isaac, a 48-year-old man from the serene islands of Palau, found himself amid a life far removed from his island roots. In the comfort of his home, surrounded by the familiar faces of his family, Stuart seemed like a man at peace. Yet beneath the surface, an inexplicable restlessness stirred. That morning, Stuart moved with an unusual urgency. His family noticed him packing a bag, an odd sight given his usual routine. Stuart was a man of habit, not known for impromptu decisions or adventures into the unknown. Yet he was placing a few belongings into his car, a black 2009 Lexus IS 250. It was an ordinary car about to embark on an extraordinary journey. Before leaving, Stewart left a note for his family. It was brief, devoid of his usual warmth. Going on a cross-country trip, it read. There was no explanation, no detailed plans, just a vague announcement that left more questions than answers. His puzzled family watched Stewart drive away, his car disappearing into the distance, taking with it a part of their lives that would never return. The drive to Yellowstone National Park was long and solitary. For 32 hours, Stewart traversed highways and back roads, passing through landscapes that contrasted starkly with his suburban life. The scenic beauty of Yellowstone awaited him, but his mind was clouded, lost in a maze of thoughts that no one else could navigate. Upon his arrival at Yellowstone, the vast wilderness greeted him. Majestic geysers, towering mountains, and sprawling forests, the park was a testament to nature's grandeur. For many, Yellowstone was a place of escape, an oasis of tranquility. For Stewart, it felt different. The park's expanse mirrored the vastness of his unspoken thoughts. September 24th brought a peculiar turn. Stewart called an old high school friend, Matsu, living far away in Guam. They hadn't spoken in years, but here he was, reaching out in the early hours, his voice carrying a weight that words could not convey. They spoke for 2 hours, but the content of that conversation remained a mystery, a private exchange lost in the echoes of the park. 2 days later, on September 26th, Stewart's journey took an inexplicable turn. His car was found at Craig Pass, an isolated spot in the park known for its elevation and lack of trails. The car was abandoned, unlocked, with keys still in the ignition, as if Stewart had stepped out for a moment and vanished into the wilderness. Back in Maryland, Stewart's family grappled with his sudden absence. Confusion and worry gnawed at them as days turned into weeks, with no word from him. The home that once resonated with his presence now echoed with his absence. An extensive search ensued, combing through the rugged terrain of Yellowstone, but no trace of Stewart was found. The man who had left Burtonsville searching for something undefinable had disappeared, leaving a trail of unanswered questions. The mystery of Stewart Isaac's disappearance lingered in the years that followed. His family, friends, and even strangers who heard of his story pondered over the unanswered questions. What drove a seemingly content man to embark on a journey without return? What did he seek in the vastness of Yellowstone? Like Stewart himself, the answers remained elusive, lost in the whispering winds of the park's endless forests. In the sprawling expanse of Grand Canyon National Park, a place known for its breathtaking vistas and treacherous cliffs, the disappearance of Charles Lyon, a 49-year-old man from Tyler, Texas, cast a shadow of mystery and concern. It was June 10, 2021, when Charles was last seen at a hotel in Tucson, a small town nestled just outside the park's boundaries. His presence there was unremarkable, blending into the throngs of tourists that passed through each day, eager to witness the natural grandeur of the canyon. Yet Charles was not just another tourist. He was a man on a solo journey, perhaps seeking solace or adventure within the vast wilderness of the Grand Canyon. The following day, June 11th, Charles's car was discovered abandoned near Lippin Point, a scenic overlook known for its panoramic views of the canyon's intricate layers and the meandering Colorado River below. This discovery prompted the National Park Service Rangers to initiate a search operation. With no clue as to why Charles had ventured into the park alone or what his intentions were, the search teams combed the area, both on the ground and from the air. Helicopters buzzed over the rugged landscape, while search and rescue teams traversed the trails and backcountry, calling out for Charles, hoping for a response that never came. As the search extended into weeks, the National Park Service announced a scaling back of the operation. The initial surge of efforts to find Charles was reduced to more targeted actions, focusing on community outreach and utilizing patrols and helicopter flights during regular operations. Charles stood 6 foot 3 inches tall, weighed 177 pounds, and had brown hair and brown eyes. a description that was circulated widely in hopes that someone might have seen him or could offer new information. Yet despite the extensive search efforts and public appeals, Charles remained missing. The Grand Canyon, a marvel of nature's handiwork, has been a site of awe and inspiration for countless visitors. However, it has also been a place where over 600 people have lost their lives, succumbing to accidental falls or the harsh environmental conditions that can prevail. The mystery of Charles's disappearance added another somber note to the canyon's history, reminding us all of the respect and caution this natural wonder demands. In Tyler, Texas, Charles's absence left a void in the hearts of those who knew him. Rumors and theories abounded, with each person trying to make sense of why Charles would vanish into the depths of the Grand Canyon. Was he overwhelmed by personal demons, or was he seeking a connection with the sublime beauty of the natural world? These questions lingered unanswered as the search for him continued in a limited capacity. As days turned into months, the story of Charles Lyon remained a topic of conversation among the locals in Tucson and the wider community of Grand Canyon enthusiasts. Rangers continued to follow up on any new leads, their dedication unwavering, even as the trail seemed to grow cold. The mystery of Charles's disappearance became part of the lore of the Grand Canyon, a reminder of the park's vastness and the secrets it could hold. Through the lens of humor, one might imagine Charles embarking on an unintended adventure, perhaps getting hopelessly lost on a trail, only to be adopted by a family of mule deer who admired his height and decided he was one of their own. Or maybe he discovered a hidden cave, decided to live out his days as a hermit, leaving behind the complexities of modern life for the simplicity of nature. These fanciful scenarios, while amusing, served as a coping mechanism for those grappling with the reality of his absence. In the end, the story of Charles Lyon is a tapestry of mystery, nature's majesty, and the human spirit's quest for meaning. It serves as a poignant reminder of our vulnerability in the face of nature's grandeur and the enduring hope that one day, the truth of Charles's fate might be uncovered, offering closure to his family and those touched by his story. In the vast, sprawling wilderness of the Grand Canyon, a mystery unfolded that would perplex and intrigue those who stumbled upon it. It was September 17, 2017, a day like any other in the park, except for the fact that Zhongyong Wan, a 45-year-old man, would suddenly vanish without a trace. His disappearance would soon become a tale whispered among the towering cliffs and echoing canyons, a puzzle that seemed as vast and inscrutable as the park itself. Zhongyong's journey began not in the Grand Canyon, but in the bustling streets of Los Angeles, where he lived. His life took a mysterious turn when his white Toyota Camry was discovered abandoned at Moran Point on the south rim of the Grand Canyon National Park. This discovery was baffling for several reasons. For one, Zhongyong had no known reason to be in the area. His car, previously spotted near the New Hants trailhead, sat silently, holding the secrets of its owner's whereabouts. The details of Zhongyong's life before his disappearance add layers of complexity to the case. A few months earlier, in the quiet town of Knoxville, Illinois, he had a run-in with the law. One night, his white car nearly caused a collision, leading to a police stop where a language barrier complicated the interaction. Zhongyong, speaking little English, revealed he was moving to New York and the car belonged to his nephew. A search of the vehicle uncovered cannabis and a digital scale, which he claimed were gifts from a friend in California. Despite the potential legal ramifications, this incident seemed like a mere footnote in the grand narrative of Zhongyong's life until his disappearance. Theories abounded among those who followed the case. Some speculated that Zhongyong, perhaps overwhelmed by legal troubles or the weight of personal issues, sought solace in the wilderness. Others wondered if he had met with foul play or succumbed to the natural dangers of the park. The New Hants trailhead, known for its challenging terrain and the absence of a designated parking area, hinted at a possible hike gone awry. This trail, more suited to experienced backpackers than casual day hikers, featured steep descents and rugged paths, and in September, the relentless heat could dehydrate an unprepared traveler swiftly. Amidst these speculations, the online community dissected every available piece of information, sharing theories and offering condolences. Some pointed out the harsh realities of navigating the U.S. national parks, especially for foreigners who might underestimate their vastness and the dangers they contain. Discussions veered from the plausibility of Zhongyuan getting lost or injured on a difficult trail to the darker corners of human nature and the possibility of suicide. The silence from Zhongyuan's family puzzled many. Was it possible that they were unaware of his fate, or did they choose to grieve in private, away from the prying eyes of the public? The lack of updates, coupled with the sparse details from official sources, left a void filled with speculation and sorrow. Despite the best efforts of park authorities and the collective sleuthing of interested onlookers, Zhongyuan's fate remains a mystery. His story is a somber reminder of the unpredictability of life and the impenetrable depths of nature's majesty. The Grand Canyon, with its breathtaking views and hidden dangers, continues to hold Zhongyuan's secret, a testament to the enduring mystery of human existence against the backdrop of the natural world. As the years pass, Zhongyuan's story is etched into the lore of the Grand Canyon, a haunting narrative of loss and unanswered questions. It stands as a somber beacon for those who venture into the wild, a reminder of the thin veil between beauty and danger, between being found and becoming forever lost. In the summer of 1900, Yellowstone's Fountain Hotel stood as a grand monument amidst the untamed wilderness, a symbol of refinement and grace. Its majestic architecture, towering against geothermal wonders, beckoned travelers from afar. The interior of the Fountain Hotel was a haven of luxury. Polished wooden floors gleamed under the soft glow of chandeliers, and ornate tapestries adorned the walls, each telling a tale of adventure and exploration. Guests adorned in their finest garments gathered in the grand hall, their voices melding into a harmonious blend of laughter and conversation. They spoke of the day's sightings, of bison herds roaming the plains, and the awe-inspiring eruptions of geysers. Into this world of splendor and excitement stepped Leroy R. Piper, a 36-year-old man from Ohio. With a demeanor more reserved than that of the exuberant guests around him, Piper moved through the hotel with a quiet grace, his eyes reflecting a deep, introspective soul. Despite his unassuming presence, there was an air of determination about him, as if he were on a journey not just through the park, but within himself. The dining room of the Fountain Hotel was a spectacle of culinary delight. Piper, seated alone, observed the room with a thoughtful gaze. As he dined, there was a sense of melancholy about him, a man seemingly wrestling with his thoughts. Yet he savored each bite as if imprinting the memory of the flavors and the place's ambiance upon his mind. After savoring his dinner, Piper purchased a cigar at the hotel's concierge desk. The lobby was abuzz with the evening's excitement, starkly contrasting with the serene darkness waiting outside. As he stepped into the fantastic night, the wilderness of Yellowstone enveloped him. Under the vast starlit sky, the sounds of the park's nocturnal life began to intensify. But as the hours passed, Piper did not return. His disappearance sent ripples of concern through the Fountain Hotel. A search was quickly organized, with detachments of cavalry combing the nearby woods and meadows. The news of Piper's disappearance spread like wildfire, igniting speculation and worry among the hotel guests and staff. As the days stretched into weeks, the mystery deepened. Theories abounded. Some whispered that he had lost his mind and wandered off, while others feared a more sinister fate. The hotel, once a place of joy and celebration, now carried the weight of a mystery. Piper's room remained untouched, a haunting reminder of his sudden absence. His belongings, a mix of personal items and travel gear, lay as he had left them, an eerie testament to his unexpected disappearance. The surrounding landscape of Yellowstone, usually a source of awe and inspiration, now seemed to hold a dark secret. The geysers and hot springs, once marveled at for their natural beauty, now appeared as potential hazards that might have claimed an unwary traveler. Rumors swirled among the hotel guests. Some spoke of seeing mysterious figures in the woods, while others recounted chilling howls in the night. Once cheerful and accommodating, the hotel staff moved with a sense of urgency and whispered concern. The Fountain Hotel's bear feeding station, a popular attraction for guests, became a focal point of the investigation. Some speculated that Piper might have ventured too close, meeting a tragic end, but no evidence was found. No sign of a struggle, no trace of Piper. As the search continued, the landscape of Yellowstone began to reveal its secrets, but none are related to Piper. The park's vastness, a mosaic of dense forests, meandering rivers, and rugged terrain, seemed to have swallowed him whole. Back at the hotel, Piper's disappearance became the subject of hushed conversations and furtive glances. Guests began to depart, the shadow of the mystery casting a pall over their stay. Once a beacon of Yellowstone's hospitality, the hotel now stood as a silent witness to one of the park's greatest mysteries. As the years passed, the story of Leroy R. Piper became a legend, a tale of a man who stepped into the night and the annals of Yellowstone's history, never to be seen again. His fate, forever entwined with the mystique of the park, remains an enigma, a haunting reminder of nature's unfathomable mysteries.
In the heart of southeastern Arizona, where the Chiricahua Mountains rise stark against the sky, lies a story that has echoed through the canyons for over 4 decades. It's a tale not of the land's rugged beauty, but of a man who vanished within it, leaving behind a mystery that has puzzled many and tormented those he loved. Paul Fugate, a dedicated park ranger at Chiricahua National Monument, was as much a part of the landscape as the towering rock formations and deep valleys he patrolled. At 41, his life was deeply intertwined with the park's trails and history. Known for his passion for the outdoors and commitment to conservation, Paul was a familiar face to visitors and a cornerstone in the park community. On a seemingly ordinary Sunday afternoon, January 13, 1980, Paul set out from the visitor center on a routine patrol. His destination was the faraway ranch area, a recent addition to the park he was eager to inspect. Wearing his full ranger uniform, badge proudly displayed, he told a colleague he'd return by 4:30 p.m. With a casual wave, he stepped onto the trail and into the unknown. This moment, so ordinary at the time, would be the last time anyone at Chiricahua would see him. As the hours passed, and there was no sign of Paul, concern quickly escalated into alarm. The park, his home and sanctuary, seemingly swallowed him whole. The search efforts that followed were massive in scale, employing tracking dogs, aircraft, and a battalion of volunteers from numerous agencies. Yet despite their exhaustive efforts, the rugged terrain offered no clues to Paul's whereabouts. For Dodi Fugate, Paul's wife, the sudden disappearance of her husband was a nightmare from which she couldn't awaken. The man she loved, her partner in life's adventure, had vanished. "I feel as though a part of me has just been sliced off," she said, the agony of not knowing what happened to Paul being a constant shadow in her life. The search for Paul became a search for closure, a journey that has stretched over 40 years without an end. Theories about Paul's fate abound. Some speculate he encountered foul play, perhaps stumbling upon illicit activities within the park's remote expanses. Others wonder if an accident or natural causes took him, leaving no trace in the vast wilderness. But without evidence, these theories remain speculative. The truth of Paul's disappearance is as elusive as the man himself. The pain of Paul's absence is shared by those who knew him, including Barbara Elfbrandt, a longtime friend. The weight of the mystery, the endless questions with no answers, is a burden they carry daily. "I don't believe that I did originally that it would be solved," Elfbrandt admitted, the hope once bright now dimmed by the passage of time. In 2018, the National Park Service unexpectedly decided to reopen Paul's case, citing new evidence and increasing the reward for information to $60,000. Yet they remain silent on the nature of this evidence, leaving many to wonder if the mystery that has lingered for so long might finally be solved. Despite the renewed investigation, Paul's family and friends are left with memories and the pain of his absence. Paul and I were sort of like two halves of one person. Dodie reminisced, her words a testament to the depth of their bond. The other half of her, she feels, is somewhere out there waiting to be found. The story of Paul Fugate is a stark reminder of the vastness and mystery of the natural world, a place where beauty and danger coexist. His disappearance from Kirikawa National Monument remains one of the most enduring mysteries in the history of the National Park Service. For those who knew and loved him, the search for answers continues a quest for closure in the face of an unfathomable loss. Deep within the heart of Yellowstone National Park, where the wilderness stretches as far as the eye can see, there lived a ranger whose soul was as vast and profound as the landscapes he protected. Dwayne P. McClure was not just a guardian of this majestic wilderness. He was part of it. Born into a world where the rustle of leaves and the whisper of the wind were languages he understood, Dwayne grew up with a deep-seated reverence for nature that guided his life. Dwayne's journey with the National Park Service spanned a decade, a testament to his unwavering commitment to preserving the natural beauty that defined his existence. Every morning, as the first light of dawn broke over the horizon, casting a golden glow on the serene waters of Yellowstone Lake, Dwayne embarked on his patrol. In his canoe, he moved with a grace that belied the strength and determination within him, a solitary figure against the backdrop of towering mountains and endless skies. For Dwayne, the park was more than his workplace. It was his home, a sanctuary where he found peace and purpose. He was familiar with every trail, every hidden grove, and the stories of the creatures that roamed the land. His life was intertwined with the rhythms of nature, where each day brought new challenges and wonders. But beyond his role as a protector, Dwayne was a beloved son, a brother, and a cherished friend. His laughter was as infectious as his passion for the wild, endearing him to all who had the privilege of knowing him. Then came the day that would forever mark a before and after in the story of Yellowstone. On May 22, 1980, as the park basked in the full bloom of spring, Dwayne set out on a routine patrol across Yellowstone Lake. The waters, which had witnessed countless sunrises and sunsets under Dwayne's watchful eye, were deceptively calm that day. Dwayne entered the lake's embrace with his canoe as his trusted companion, the horizon stretching endlessly before him. But as the hours passed and the shadows lengthened, a silence fell over the park. Dwayne did not return. Concern turned to alarm as his radio calls went unanswered, an ominous quiet settling over the waters he knew so well. A search was launched, a collective effort born of hope and desperation. Rangers and volunteers scoured the area, their determination fueled by the bond they shared with Dwayne, a man who had devoted his life to the wild. They found his canoe capsized and abandoned, a silent witness to a tragedy that remained shrouded in mystery. Despite their exhaustive efforts, Dwayne's fate remained unknown, the lake keeping its secrets. The wilderness, his sanctuary, had claimed him, leaving behind a void that echoed with the loss of a man whose life was a testament to the beauty and peril of the natural world. In the years that followed, Dwayne's legacy lived on as a beacon for those who continued to protect the parks and wilderness areas across the nation. His story is a poignant reminder of the sacrifices made by rangers who, like Dwayne, serve as the guardians of nature's wonders. It is a tale of love, loss, and the enduring spirit of a man who, in life and memory, remains an integral part of the wilderness he cherished. As the seasons change and the years pass, the memory of Dwayne P. McClure endures, a reminder of the profound connection between humans and the earth. In the heart of Yellowstone, where the lake's waters meet the sky, his spirit whispers with the wind, forever a part of the wild he loved. In the serene expanse of Mount Rainier National Park, where the towering peak casts its shadow over lush forests, an unforeseen tragedy shattered the tranquility of winding trails at the dawn of a new year. On the first day of January 2012, a time that promised fresh beginnings, the park became the backdrop for a story of courage, loss, and the unyielding spirit of those dedicated to protecting these sacred grounds. Margaret Anderson, a 34-year-old park ranger, mother to 2 young daughters, and a cherished member of the ranger community, set out on that chilly morning, unaware that it would be her last. Margaret, known for her gentle demeanor and unwavering dedication, was the epitome of the park's guardians, committed to safeguarding the natural beauty and the visitors who come to marvel at it. The tranquility of the park was disrupted when news broke of a man, later identified as Benjamin Colton Barnes, a troubled former soldier. Clad in the remnants of his military past and harboring a tumultuous inner turmoil, Barnes had become entangled in a web of violence that led him from a shooting in a Seattle suburb to the snowy slopes of Mount Rainier. As the park braced for the influx of visitors eager to witness the winter wonderland, a checkpoint had been established to ensure the safety of those venturing into the snow-covered paradise. It was here that Barnes, intent on evading capture, stormed through, setting off a chain of events that would forever alter the course of many lives. Margaret, stationed at Paradise, received the call to action. With a sense of duty that outweighed the risks, she positioned her patrol vehicle to block the path of the approaching menace, a barrier between danger and the unsuspecting families above. Daniel Kamicha, another ranger, joined her in this critical mission, their resolve unwavering in the face of the unknown threat. The confrontation was swift and devastating. Barnes, armed and desperate, unleashed a hail of bullets, striking Margaret before she had a chance to defend herself or retreat. Her sacrifice, a stark testament to her bravery, prevented the gunman from reaching the heart of Paradise, where the consequences could have been unimaginably dire. The park, now a scene of sorrow, echoed the efforts of those who sought to apprehend Barnes and come to Margaret's aid. But it was too late. The ranger who had dedicated her life to protecting others was gone, her legacy imprinted on the land she loved. In the days that followed, a massive manhunt unfolded across the rugged terrain as rangers and law enforcement officers pursued Barnes, who ultimately met his end in the cold embrace of the wilderness, a solitary conclusion to a path marked by turmoil. Margaret Anderson's story is a poignant reminder of the risks borne by the guardians of our national parks. Her bravery, sacrifice, and love for Mount Rainier National Park will forever be remembered as a beacon of courage in adversity. As we reflect on that fateful New Year's Day, we are reminded of the fragility of life and the enduring strength of the human spirit, exemplified by a ranger who stood firm in protecting the natural wonder entrusted to her care. Friendship of the same age bonds a perfect connection between two people. But when a teenage mind tries to fit in with the older minds, there are some consequences. Justin Lee Richardson was a 13-year-old boy born and raised in North Arizona. Later, he moved to his father's house in Tucson, located south of the Grand Canyon. Justin's mother was living separately from his father in Flagstaff. Justin was very popular with the town, as there was not much population, and most people were closely bound with each other. Without the observation of a mother, Justin lived a free life, as his father was not a strict parent. The boy was free to go out and invite friends over to the house to throw parties. No one knew that Justin had started using drugs and alcohol a year before he went missing. Justin was only 13, and this was a very stressful situation. On the unfortunate evening of June 29, 2001, Justin and his 3 older friends went to a drug party in Kaibab National Forest. His elder friends hosted this party. His friends were reported to be aged between 18 and 21. The dangerous seduction of methamphetamine tempted the party. Having already indulged in partying, the group went to a private spot 5 miles west of the Moki Lodge. When the drug seduction rises high, 2 friends become separated from Justin and another man. Worried about their missing friends, Justin and his friend braved the darkness to seek them out. Without their knowledge, the lost pair had wandered far south, misled by the railroad tracks, while Justin's group persisted in their search. Justin and his friend continued their search along the railway track, hoping to find a way to some nearby station. When morning light broke, Justin's friend claimed to have drifted into a drug-induced slumber, only to wake at 5 p.m. and discover Justin had vanished. Instead of seeking help, the man silently returned, leaving Justin's fate in the forest shadows. On the other hand, when he did not return home for 2 days later, his family, gripped by worry, reported his disappearance to the local police on July 2nd. The missing report set the stage for an unsettling mystery in the middle of Kaibab National Forest. The search started after 2 weeks. The dense forest, spanning 64 miles, became the stage for an extensive search involving foot patrols, horseback riders, vehicles, and even helicopters scouring the skies. Despite these efforts, Justin remained missing, leaving his whereabouts hidden in mystery. Initially dismissed as a teenage runaway, investigators soon uncovered an unexpected twist. Justin left home several times before that day. He had a girlfriend in Chicago, but there was yet to be a clue of his departure to Chicago. As time passed, the focus shifted dramatically. Investigators, once clearing the 3 men Justin partied with, now suspected foul play. Another twist in the case was one of the 3 men's deaths. Although his death was attributed to a mysterious case of mistaken identity, it intensified the intrigue. In 2014, the Cold Case Unit unveiled secret information. The evidence suggested that Justin returned to Moki Lodge that fateful night. The details of this evidence remained undisclosed, heightening the suspense. After more than a decade of search, this case is still challenging for Coconino County's sheriff. Justin Lee Richardson, a young soul lost in the shadows, has disappeared for 23 years. The sheriff's office, known for its victory rescues, holds Justin's case as the mystery that eludes them. Despite their remarkable record, Justin remains the puzzle they need help solving. The night he disappeared haunts the community, and the officers believe someone out there holds the key to the mystery. A silent witness, perhaps, who witnessed the secrets of that fateful night. In the picturesque town of Cody, Wyoming, a young man named Morgan Elias Heimer lived. From his early days, Morgan developed a deep connection with the open wilderness, exploring the wonders of nature that surrounded him. As he grew older, Morgan's passion for outdoor adventures led him to the University of Wyoming, where he studied English. However, his heart belonged to the wild, and he dreamt of becoming a river guide. He wanted to navigate the forceful waters with the skill of an experienced outdoorsman and the grace of a fantastic swimmer. On June 2, 2015, Morgan guided a group on an 8-day rafting trip along the Colorado River in the majestic Grand Canyon. The journey had been a success, with 6 days of thrilling adventures. The group approached Pumpkin Spring, a unique orange rock formation with warm but toxic waters. Little did they know this serene location would become the backdrop for an inexplicable disappearance. As the clock struck 4 p.m., the group led by Morgan navigated a side stream near Pumpkin Spring. Morgan conversed with the lead rafting guide inside the beauty of the canyon. Something caught his attention, and he mentioned taking some time off that afternoon. The lead guide, pulled away by a client, briefly turned away. When he looked back, Morgan had vanished, leaving no trace behind. A dark-colored Astral personal flotation device, a blue plaid long-sleeve shirt, Chaco flip-flop sandals, a maroon baseball cap, and brightly colored shorts were the last memories of Morgan's presence. Concern gripped the group when Morgan failed to join them for an afternoon swim and dinner. Around 7 p.m., a member reported him missing. The Grand Canyon echoed with worry as park rangers and search and rescue teams scoured the river and surrounding areas. They searched every inch from mile markers 211, 215 to Diamond Creek, 12 miles west of Pumpkin Spring. Interviews with Tour West employees, rafting group members, and fellow river guides provided no clues. 6 agonizing days they were passed with no sign of Morgan. With its towering cliffs and hidden curves, the canyon became an ominous labyrinth where hope and uncertainty intertwined. Despite the extensive efforts, the canyon guarded its secrets, refusing to yield any clues about Morgan's whereabouts. The investigators, believing in Morgan's skill and experience, needed clarification on more findings. As the search expanded, the canyon's wilderness became a drama stage. Wild rapids, towering cliffs, splashing waters, and elusive wildlife posed challenges to the search parties. The air was filled with suspense, and the rocky surface added to the complexity of the quest. With each passing day, the unanswered questions loomed, casting a shadow over the canyon's majesty. Days turned into nights, and the search yielded no breakthrough. The once vibrant canyon now held a sense of mystery. Morgan's fate remained unanswered with the vastness of the Grand Canyon. Investigators assumed that Morgan might have drowned, but the absence of his body left a question mark. Yet in the uncertain situation, another assumption emerged. It was a possibility that Morgan had taken his own life. The mental struggles that someone might hide deep within were pondered upon. Morgan's sudden need for a break hinted at a personal battle, a priority that led him into the canyon's depths. However, the canyon refused to divulge its secrets, and Morgan's disappearance persisted as a mystery. His Charlie Project listing, marked as Lost Missing, was a haunting reminder of an untold story. The Grand Canyon, with its towering cliffs and rugged landscapes, stood as a silent witness to the enigma of Morgan Elias Heimer. The Grand Canyon held on to its secrets, leaving Morgan's tale suspended in the echoes of the canyon winds. The story of a young river guide seemingly vanished into thin air and became a haunting chapter in the annals of the canyon's mysteries. This story echoed through the canyons, leaving an indelible mark on the untamed spirit of nature.
In August of 1960, a team of geologists led by the notable Vladimir Dubchenko went on a daring expedition into the expansive and wild terrain of North Baikal Taiga, a mission that aimed to reveal the ancient geological mysteries hidden within the rugged landscape. The team was comprised of individuals of diverse expertise, including Nina, a highly skilled and experienced geologist whose expertise was widely acknowledged, and Nikolai Troyan, a passionate and ambitious young enthusiast eager to showcase his abilities in the field. On the cold morning of August 10th, Nina and Nikolai, carrying lots of maps, tools, and their own determination to explore something new, set out on their daily exploration. However, nature seemed to not cooperate with them, making a seemingly routine mission turn into a dangerous one. As they navigated through the dangerous terrain of the dense forest, they encountered obstacles such as the entangled foliage, slippery ground, and the daunting Sinica River, whose swift and turbulent waters posed a serious challenge. Not bothered by these challenges on their way, they still continued. However, their own fate had a different plan in store for them. The weather abruptly took a turn for the worse, with dark clouds looming ominously overhead, accompanied by howling winds, torrential rain, and swirling snowflakes that caught the geologists off guard. Even the experienced Evenki guides accompanying the team were taken aback by the sudden intensity of the storm. Despite the increasingly hostile conditions, Nina and Nikolai persisted in their pursuit of the expedition's goal, and they were really determined to know what's hidden beneath these geological wonders. However, as the storm intensified, communication with the base camp went weak, leaving them isolated and vulnerable amidst the unforgiving storm. Hours passed by, which eventually turned into days, and concern began to grow among their colleagues at the base camp. When Nina and Nikolai failed to return as scheduled, a search party led by Vladimir Dubchenko was swiftly assembled. The team searched the area tirelessly, their voices echoing through the wind as they called out the names of their missing comrades, hoping for a faint response to guide them in the right direction. Yet there was no response or even traces from the two, offering no clues to the whereabouts of the vanished geologists. The heavy snowfall had effortlessly covered their tracks, rendering them almost impossible to trace. The relentless search continued, carrying with them the frantic hope of discovering Nina and Nikolai alive. What seemed to be days turned eventually into months, and the prolonged absence of Nina and Nikolai cast a gloomy shadow over their colleagues, who refused to give up and still hoped for a miracle to come. Various theories and speculations were made, ranging from accidental mishaps to encounters with wild animals. Yet none could provide a definitive explanation for their inexplicable disappearance. Some said that they might have succumbed to the treacherous currents of the Sinica River, while others entertained the grim possibility of a fatal encounter with a predatory beast. However, lacking tangible evidence to support these theories presented, they merely remained as unverified. With the passage of time, the mystery surrounding their vanishing deepened, giving rise to increasingly fantastical speculations. Supernatural interventions and extraterrestrial abductions entered the conversations between people who speculated, overshadowing the efforts to uncover the truth. With the swirling rumors, the undeniable fact remained. The whereabouts of Nina and Nikolai remained a mystery. Years slipped away, and the memory of the missing geologists gradually faded from the public consciousness. Yet for those intimately acquainted with their story, the ache of their absence lingered on, and more questions have yet to be answered with time. In the end, the inexplicable disappearance of Nina and Nikolai remains a mystery in the records of the North Baikal Taiga. The overarching question persists. What really happened on that very day? Did they meet a tragic end? Or did they go on a mysterious trip into the unknown, forever hidden from everyone? Only time can show the answers. Victor Mekas was a typical 20-year-old student studying at the Irkutsk State University. He lived in a dormitory on Lesya Ukraina Street, sharing a room with a fellow student. On the night of April 25, 2023, Victor went out with friends to Bravo nightclub, a popular spot among students in Irkutsk. They laughed and danced the night away, enjoying the freedom that comes with youth and the excitement of the weekend. As the night came to a close, Victor said goodbye to his friends outside the club. He planned to walk back to his dormitory alone, a short distance away. It was a route he had taken many times before, and he didn't foresee any issues. However, Victor never made it back to his dormitory that night. When his roommate woke up the next morning, he noticed that Victor's bed was empty. Assuming Victor had spent the night elsewhere, he didn't think much of it at first. But as the day went on and Victor still hadn't returned, concern began to set in. Victor's friends, knowing it was unlike him to disappear without a word, contacted his family. Together, they retraced his steps and checked with anyone who might have seen him after leaving the club, but there was no sign of Victor. The following day, Victor's family filed a missing person report with the police. They provided details of his last known whereabouts and descriptions of his appearance. The police assured them that they would do everything they could to find Victor and bring him home safely. Days passed and the search for Victor intensified. Flyers with his photo and description were posted around the city, and volunteers joined in the efforts to comb through nearby neighborhoods and parks. But despite their best efforts, Victor's whereabouts remained a mystery. Then a breakthrough, or so they thought. A month after Victor's disappearance, a fisherman found his passport near Yakobi Bay, not far from where the Angara River flows into Lake Baikal. This discovery sparked new hope that Victor might still be found alive. Dive teams were dispatched to search the riverbed for any trace of Victor. They carefully combed through the murky waters, hoping to find something that would lead them to him. But as time passed and no new evidence surfaced, the initial optimism began to fade. With each passing day, Victor's family and friends grappled with the uncertainty of what happened to him. They clung to the hope that he was out there somewhere, waiting to be found. But as time passed, their hope began to fade. Various theories circulated about what might have happened to Victor. Some believed he had fallen victim to the river's currents, perhaps after a misstep or accident while walking near the water's edge. Others speculated that foul play might be involved, pointing to the possibility of abduction or robbery gone wrong. Despite the lack of concrete evidence, the search for Victor continued. The city of Irkutsk rallied around his family, offering support and assistance in any way they could. But as time went on and leaves grew cold, the likelihood of finding Victor alive dwindled. Now, almost a year since his disappearance, Victor Mekas remains missing. His family continues to hold out hope for answers, but the passage of time has only deepened the mystery surrounding his fate. What if Victor had encountered foul play, his fate forever tied to the river? What if he had chosen to disappear, seeking a new life elsewhere? These questions were discussed, haunting those who knew and loved him as they continued to search for the truth. In Rezhevsky district in the Sverdlovsk region, the small village of Cheremiskoye stood overshadowed by a harrowing mystery that unraveled on a fateful summer night in August 2007. This mysterious puzzle revolved around the 3-year-old Maxim Plotnikov, born on the 26th of August in 2004, whose sudden disappearance shocked a whole tight-knit community, leaving them gripped with fear and uncertainty. Before his inexplicable disappearance, Maxime had been living with his loving grandparents in their cozy countryside abode. The routine evening of August 19th witnessed Maxime's grandmother carrying out her usual bedtime ritual, tenderly tucking him in around 11 p.m. As the innocent child peacefully drifted off to sleep, oblivious to the sudden change, little did he know the turbulent events that would soon disrupt the peacefulness of his world. In the silent hours that followed, Maxime's grandparents were peaceful in their slumber, their sense of security shattered by the unforeseen events awaiting them. It wasn't until the crack of dawn, around 5 a.m., that Maxime's grandfather returned from his night shift, only to be greeted by the chilling void left by his missing grandson. A palpable sense of dread covered the household as frantic searches proved useless in locating the young boy. Promptly responding to the distress call, law enforcement initiated a thorough investigation to solve the mystery shrouding Maxime's disappearance. Preliminary investigations revealed that Maxime's grandmother had put him to bed only to find him missing upon waking. Complicating matters further, Maxime's parents were away in Yekaterinburg at the time, adding a layer of perplexity to the unfolding mystery. In a concerted effort to trace Maxime's whereabouts, the authorities enlisted the aid of a service dog, whose acute olfactory senses guided them toward the highway leading to the city of Nevyansk. Joining the search efforts were military personnel from the nearby village of Pervomaisky, tirelessly searching through abandoned structures, dense woodlands, and the riverbanks of Reshevsky in pursuit of any clue that could shed light on Maxime's whereabouts. Despite the exhaustive search missions, Maxime's whereabouts continued to remain a mystery, making people uncertain of what might have happened to him. A sudden twist in the story saw suspicion looming over Maxime's own grandparents, who were detained by law enforcement for questioning under Article 91 of the Criminal Code of the Russian Federation. Nevertheless, no formal charges were pressed against them, and they remained under the close scrutiny of the authorities as the investigation progressed, adding a new dimension to the puzzling case. Various theories surrounded the circumstances surrounding Maxime's disappearance, ranging between the chances of foul play and tragic misfortune, each theory hinting at the chilling possibilities waiting to be proved. While some speculated about the potential role of Maxime's grandparents in his sudden disappearance, others pondered the grim likelihood of an unseen tragedy happening to the young boy during the night he disappeared. As the days of relentless searching went into weeks, the hunt for Maxime Plotnikov continued. Each passing day brought forth another set of unanswered questions rather than answers, further haunting the community with the looming uncertainty. What if Maxime's disappearance hid a darker truth that was planned by those closest to him? Could the answers to Maxime's vanishing lie buried beneath layers of deceit and betrayal, awaiting discovery through the pursuit of truth and justice? We may never know, as until now, Maxime's sudden yet mysterious disappearance was still left with a big question mark. In the vast sprawling expanse of the Grand Canyon, where the Colorado River carves its way through layers of ancient rock, a tale unfolded that would capture the attention of many. It was here, amidst the rugged beauty of this natural wonder, that Peter Francis Schwab, a 66-year-old man from Healdsburg, California, found himself embroiled in an adventure that was anything but ordinary. Peter, known to his friends as a man who enjoyed the great outdoors, had embarked on a river trip that promised both the thrill of the rapids and the tranquility of nature. On June 28, 2019, he was spotted for the last time on a small beach just downriver from National Canyon, a place where the mighty Colorado River winds its way through the desert landscape. Wearing a tan full-brim hat to shield his face from the relentless sun, a white long-sleeve shirt, gray cargo shorts, and a pair of older-style Teva sandals, Peter seemed prepared for a day of exploration. He had set out on a day hike to the Narrows in National Canyon, a spot known for its breathtaking vistas and challenging terrain. However, as the day wore on and the shadows began to lengthen, Peter did not return. Concern grew among the members of the river trip, and it wasn't long before the National Park Service was alerted to his disappearance. The area, known for its beauty as much as its dangers, suddenly became the focus of an intensive search. Rangers scoured the area, retracing Peter's last known steps and searching for any sign of the missing hiker. They issued a call to the public, urging anyone who might have seen Peter to come forward. The National Park Service ISB tip line buzzed with activity as officials pieced together the events of that day. Despite their efforts, Peter remained missing, and as the days passed, the likelihood of finding him safe and sound began to dwindle. The harsh reality of the Grand Canyon, with its treacherous terrain and powerful river, became all too apparent. Officials piecing together the evidence came to the grim conclusion that Peter had likely succumbed to the river's might, presumed to have drowned in the swirling waters of the Colorado River. The news cast a shadow over the Grand Canyon, a reminder of the unpredictable nature of such wild places. Yet even in the face of tragedy, there were moments of levity and humanity. Fellow hikers shared stories of Peter, remembering his adventurous spirit and his readiness to embark on a journey into the unknown. The search teams, though weighed down by the seriousness of their task, occasionally found themselves chuckling at the thought of Peter, his distinctive hat and sandals, setting off with the determination of a much younger man. As the search officially turned into a recovery operation, the story of Peter Francis Schwab became a cautionary tale, a reminder of the respect and preparation required when facing the formidable forces of nature. Yet it also served as a testament to the indomitable human spirit, the desire to explore, seek out new experiences, and face the challenges of the wild with courage and a sense of adventure. The Grand Canyon, with its timeless beauty and ancient mysteries, reclaimed a piece of itself, leaving those who knew Peter with memories of a man who lived his life in pursuit of adventure, undeterred by the risks. And while his journey may have ended in the depths of the Colorado River, his story continues to inspire those who hear it, a reminder of the fragile balance between man and nature, and the enduring call of the wild that draws us time and time again into the great outdoors.
On June 9, 2009, Peter Shintani, a 70-year-old hiker from Napanee, Ontario, Canada, set out to conquer Mount Washington, the tallest peak in New Hampshire's White Mountains. Standing at 6,288 feet, Mount Washington is known for its unpredictable weather and rough land. Shintani's plan was simple: climb the mountain and return home the following day. With his car parked at Pinkham Notch, he went on his solo adventure, leaving behind the familiar comforts of civilization for the allure of the great outdoors. As Shintani went into the wilderness alone, he was greeted by the towering trees and rocky trails that characterized the landscape of Mount Washington. The air was crisp, carrying the scent of pine and the promise of adventure. Despite the challenges that lay ahead, Shintani pressed on, fueled by a sense of determination and excitement. However, as the hours turned into days, concern began to mount among Shintani's loved ones. He had not returned as expected, and his absence was noted with growing unease. Days turned into weeks as the search for Shintani intensified. Over 70 rescuers, including a New Hampshire Army National Guard helicopter, combed the mountain in search of any sign of the missing hiker. The terrain was unforgiving, with steep cliffs and dense foliage posing obstacles at every turn. Despite the exhaustive efforts of search teams, Shintani remained missing. What had happened to Peter Shintani? Had he lost his way in the vast wilderness of Mount Washington, or had something more sinister occurred? Jenny Shimono, Shintani's sister, refused to give up hope. She appealed to fellow hikers, urging them to remain vigilant and keep an eye out for any signs of her brother. Shimono's plea reverberated throughout the hiking community, a sign of hope in the face of uncertainty. Then, on the evening of July 6, 2009, a terrifying discovery was made. Hikers stumbled upon a body off the Lion's Head Trail, concealed among the rocky outcroppings. It was a painful discovery, one that brought a mixture of relief and sorrow. The body was identified as Peter Shintani, bringing closure to the search that had gripped the mountain for weeks. The details surrounding Shintani's disappearance and death still remained covered in mystery. How had he ended up off the beaten path, hidden from view? What had happened in the days leading up to his tragic death? As investigators pieced together the events that had unfolded, they were left with more questions than answers. For those who knew Peter Shintani, the loss was profound. He had ventured into the wilderness seeking adventure, only to meet his fate on the unforgiving slopes of Mount Washington. His memory would live on in the hearts of those who loved him, even though he would never be with them again. James "Jimmy" Watts, a 24-year-old avid mountaineer from New York, met his untimely demise in an avalanche while solo ice-climbing Pinnacle Gully in Huntington Ravine on Mount Washington, New Hampshire. The events leading up to, during, and after his tragic death paint a picture of a skilled climber whose passion for adventure ultimately led to his downfall. On March 1st, Jimmy went on what would be his final climb, leaving the Harvard Mountaineering Club cabin near Huntington Ravine with the intention of climbing multiple gullies. He was well equipped, carrying a pack containing all the necessary gear for retreat, including a 60-meter rope, harness, and anchor-building materials for ice and rock. Despite his preparations, Jimmy chose to tackle the dangerous terrain alone, a decision that would prove fatal. It is believed that Jimmy first climbed the ice pitches in Odell Gully before descending into South Gully and heading up into Pinnacle. Approximately two-thirds of the way up the route, on what would be the second pitch for a roped party, Jimmy triggered a slab avalanche. The avalanche released in the upper portion of the second pitch of the ice climb, just below a narrowing formed by exposed rock in the gully. The crown line was about 20 to 30 feet uphill from where Jimmy was at the time. The avalanche, though not large, proved deadly, carrying Jimmy downslope. He was found by another climber halfway down the fan, a talus slope in the lower portion of the ravine. Despite efforts to revive him, Jimmy was pronounced deceased. The cause of death was determined to be internal injuries caused by his fall rather than suffocation or burial. Jimmy's tragic death was extremely bad news that circulated through the mountaineering community, especially among his friends and fellow climbers. He was known for his enthusiasm for life and his willingness to take risks, both on the mountainside and in everyday adventures. His adventurous spirit extended beyond climbing. He was also known for unicycling around Widener Library and creating bouldering routes in his dormitory. As president of the Harvard Mountaineering Club, Jimmy was a mentor and leader, always eager to share his passion for the outdoors with others. His dedication to the club and his adventurous spirit were evident in everything he did, from climbing every gully in Huntington Ravine to taking risks for the benefit of others. Despite his love for adventure, Jimmy's death serves as a warning of the dangers that come with mountaineering, especially when undertaking solo climbs in unpredictable conditions. What if Jimmy had chosen to climb with a partner, as he had done in previous expeditions? What if he had recognized the risks of solo climbing in unpredictable conditions and opted for a safer ascent? What if his passion for adventure had found a different outlet, one less dangerous yet equally fulfilling?
In the large areas of the Grand Canyon, where the majestic Colorado River has carved its way through the Arizona landscape for millions of years, the year 1957 marked the mysterious disappearance of a young woman named Mary Margaret Begay. At the tender age of 20, Mary left the comfort of her home in Loop to work at the Bright Angel Lodge, a popular stop for visitors of the Grand Canyon National Park. Little did she know that her new beginning would soon turn into an enigma that would baffle investigators for decades. Mary's daily routine at the park was uneventful until one fateful day in August, when she decided to enjoy a night out with 3 of her friends. They set out from their employee housing, walking to the now demolished Grand Canyon Inn, their hearts light and spirits high, eager for some relaxation after days of hard work. The evening was filled with laughter and the clinking of glasses as they indulged in the pleasure of each other's company. However, as the night wore on, Mary made a decision that would forever alter the course of her life. She was last seen getting into a vehicle with 2 men, strangers to her friends, described only as being of Hopi descent. From that moment on, Mary Margaret Begay vanished into the night, leaving behind nothing but questions and the haunting silence of her absence. The disappearance of Mary was not immediately alarming to the authorities or her employer. In a time when communication was not as instant as it is today, it was not uncommon for individuals to go off the grid for short periods of time. However, as days turned into weeks without any sign of Mary, concern began to mount. Her employer, having no tolerance for unexplained absences, terminated her position and packed away her belongings, an act that now seems cold in the light of her mysterious absence. It was only when Mary's family came to visit, expecting to find her thriving in her new environment, that the alarm was raised. They were met with the shocking reality that Mary was gone, her whereabouts unknown. The family reported her missing to the Navajo authorities, but the bureaucratic gears turned slowly, and it was not until a year later that the Coconino County Sheriff's Office became aware of Mary's case. The investigation into Mary's disappearance was complicated from the start. In October 1958, a grim discovery of skeletal remains near the Grand Canyon sparked hope that Mary might be found. However, this hope was quickly dashed when the remains were identified as belonging to a younger, non-Native American girl, dubbed Little Miss X, whose case also went cold. As the years passed, various leads and theories emerged, including speculation that Mary had chosen to start a new life away from her family in Los Angeles or Oregon. Friends and acquaintances whispered rumors of marriage and children, but every lead turned into a dead end. The investigator on Mary's case, Joe Sumner, a retired National Park Service criminal investigator, expressed his skepticism about these theories, noting Mary's close relationship with her family and the lack of any evidence to suggest she was still alive. The case of Mary Margaret Begay became a haunting presence in the annals of the Coconino County Sheriff's Office's Cold Case Unit. More than 50 years later, Mary's family members passed away, carrying the burden of her unresolved disappearance. Despite advancements in forensic science, including the collection of DNA samples from Mary's surviving sister, in an attempt to find a match, the mystery remained unsolved. The search for Mary's remains and the quest for answers continued, with the hope that one day closure could be provided to her surviving relatives. In the grand scheme of things, Mary's story is a poignant reminder of the countless individuals who disappear without a trace, leaving behind families and communities grappling with endless questions. It underscores the challenges faced by law enforcement in solving cold cases and the importance of never giving up hope. As the narrative of Mary Margaret Begay unfolds, it weaves a tale of mystery, loss, and the relentless search for truth, set against the backdrop of one of America's most breathtaking natural wonders.
Giuseppe Musto, a 75-year-old resident of Roslindale, Boston, vanished on May 8, 2022. He left his home early in the morning and drove to Mount Washington State Forest. Musto, standing at 5 feet 5 inches tall and weighing approximately 200 pounds with gray hair, went on this trip alone. His disappearance followed a series of family tragedies, including the loss of his grandson. Despite extensive search efforts by state police and community members, Musto remained missing, leaving behind a cloud of uncertainty and unanswered questions. Giuseppe Musto lived a quiet life in Roslindale, Boston. He was a devoted family man who had experienced his fair share of hardships, especially with the recent passing of his grandson. The grief weighed heavily on Musto, and he often sought peace in the outdoors. On the morning of May 8, 2022, Musto left his home without informing anyone of his plans. It was a typical morning, with Musto slipping out unnoticed, possibly seeking solace amidst the trees and wilderness of Mount Washington State Forest. He was still silently grieving the loss of his beloved grandson, and that is what probably ultimately drove him to be alone even for a brief moment. He drove his pickup truck to Mount Washington State Forest, his thoughts overwhelmed by grief and sadness, and a desire to wash it all away. However, no one knows exactly what prompted him to do that, other than the emptiness he feels and the need to cope with the loss of his grandson. Upon reaching the state forest, he got out of his pickup truck and decided to take a short walk, until a tragedy occurred that left everyone questioning. As the hours passed, Musto's absence was noted by his family, sparking concern and prompting a search effort. State police, park rangers, and local authorities joined forces to comb through the vast expanse of Mount Washington State Forest. Aircraft and all-terrain vehicles, ATVs, were deployed in hopes of locating Musto, but the dense foliage and rugged terrain presented challenges. Despite their efforts, Musto remained elusive, his whereabouts surrounded in mystery. Theories circulated among investigators and the community, ranging from the possibility of Musto getting lost to potential foul play. Each theory only added to the complexity of the case, leaving more questions than answers. Days have passed already, but there was still no sign of Musto. The search efforts continued relentlessly, with Musto's family clinging to hope for his safe return. Missing posters were plastered across the city, and appeals were made to the public for any information regarding Musto's whereabouts. However, as time passed, the optimism faded away, replaced by a sense of resignation. Musto's disappearance left a void in the hearts of those who knew him, a void that seemed impossible to fill. The disappearance of Giuseppe Musto remains a perplexing mystery, with no clear resolution in sight. Despite the best efforts of law enforcement and the community, Musto's fate remains unknown. What if Musto had simply sought peace in the wilderness, hoping to find peace amidst nature's embrace? What if he had encountered unforeseen dangers, succumbing to the harsh realities of the forest? The questions linger, haunting those left behind. As the investigation into Musto's disappearance continues, one thing remains certain: the search for answers will not cease until Musto is found.
In the heart of Yellowstone National Park, Shoshone Lake lay like a serene, unspoken secret amidst the wild. It was here in September 2021 that Kim Crumbo and his brother Mark O'Neill set out on a journey that would etch their names into the memory of the park forever. Their story, a blend of adventure and mystery, began under a sky that promised both tranquility and turmoil. Kim, 74, was a man of the waters, a soul woven from the threads of the countless rivers he'd navigated. His life, a rich tapestry of environmental conservation, resonated with the spirit of the wild. Mark, 67, shared this profound bond with nature. His quiet demeanor complemented his brother's, and together they were a duo united by water and wilderness. Their bond was deepened by their shared childhood, growing up with a love for water and adventure. Kim, a Navy SEAL veteran and seasoned river ranger, carried the wisdom of the rivers in his eyes. Mark, a guardian of national parks and an advocate for nature, wore his years of experience like a badge of honor. As they prepared for their journey, the brothers were unaware that this trip would be their last together. On a cool September morning, with the gentle hum of Yellowstone waking up around them, Kim and Mark set out on Shoshone Lake. The glassy surface of the water reflected their excitement, the canoe cutting through the stillness with each determined stroke. The surrounding wilderness, a vast expanse of pine and mystery, watched in silent anticipation. The lake, however, had its own secrets and perils. Despite their extensive experience, Kim and Mark soon found themselves at the mercy of nature's unpredictable moods. As they approached the Narrows, a notorious passage on the lake, the calm waters began to churn. The sky, once clear, was now a canvas of dark, brooding clouds. Back on the shore, a sense of unease lingered at their abandoned campsite. The crackling fire, once a source of warmth and comfort, now burned solemnly, its flames casting long shadows over the untouched supplies. The brothers, who had set out with laughter and stories, were now enveloped by the unforgiving embrace of the lake. The search for Kim and Mark was an arduous journey of hope and despair. As days turned into weeks, the relentless efforts of the search teams painted a picture of unwavering determination. The discovery of Mark's body, a heartbreaking moment, brought a devastating reality to the surface. The wilderness that had been their sanctuary was now a reminder of their tragic fate. Kim, however, remained elusive, his spirit seemingly one with the lake he loved. The search continued, but as winter's cold fingers crept over Yellowstone, hope faded like the last rays of the sun. Superintendent Cam Shawley, haunted by the loss and driven by a sense of duty, embarked on a solitary search, a testament to the unyielding nature of hope. The wilderness of Yellowstone, with its beauty and dangers, became a silent witness to the story of Kim and Mark. Their legacy, a tale of passion for the natural world and the unbreakable bond of brotherhood, lingered in the air, in the rustling of the leaves, and in the gentle lap of the waters against the shore. Their journey, marked by adventure and ended in mystery, remains a poignant reminder of nature's unpredictable power. In the heart of Yellowstone, the story of Kim Crumbo and Mark O'Neill lives on, a narrative of two souls forever intertwined with the wild, untamed spirit of Shoshone Lake. In September 2009, the city of Novosibirsk, Russia, was rocked by the sudden disappearance of Irina Safonova, a 28-year-old child psychologist. The events leading up to her vanishing act seemed mundane, almost routine. Irina had spent the evening at the Pobeda Cinema with her boyfriend Alexander Skurikin. They had watched a movie together, sharing popcorn and laughter like any other couple. At around 11:30 p.m., the movie ended, and Alexander drove Irina back to her apartment building. Surveillance footage captured her entering the building at precisely 12:02 a.m., stepping into the elevator with the familiarity of someone who had done it countless times before. That was the last time Irina was seen or heard. The alarm was raised when Irina failed to return home that night. Alexander, concerned for her safety, tried calling her phone repeatedly, but to no avail. He then contacted Irina's son, Andrei, who confirmed that his mother hadn't come home. Panic ensued, and the search for Irina Safonova began. The initial search efforts were massive and widespread. Family, friends, and concerned citizens combed the streets of Novosibirsk, plastering the city with missing posters and appealing for any information that could lead to Irina's whereabouts. Police officers questioned witnesses and reviewed surveillance footage from nearby buildings, hoping for a clue that might solve the mystery. Despite their exhaustive efforts, the search yielded no concrete leads. The days passed by, and Irina's disappearance remained an unsolved puzzle. Theories began to emerge, each more speculative than the last. One theory suggested that Irina had been abducted, perhaps by someone she knew or by a stranger lurking around her neighborhood. Another suggested that she had fallen victim to foul play. Her disappearance was planned by someone with a motive known only to them. Yet without evidence to support these theories, there remained nothing more than speculations. As time passed, suspicion fell on those closest to Irina. Alexander, her boyfriend, faced intense scrutiny, despite passing a polygraph test and cooperating fully with the investigation. The possibility of his involvement loomed large, casting a shadow over their once ordinary relationship. Irina's estranged husband, Vladimir Safonov, also came under suspicion. Living in Moscow at the time of her disappearance, Vladimir's whereabouts and motives were questioned. Yet, like Alexander, there was no evidence linking him to Irina's mysterious disappearance. Despite the absence of concrete evidence, the investigation continued, fueled by the hope of finding answers for Irina's family and friends. However, as time passed, and the months eventually turned into years, the case grew cold, and Irina's fate remained unknown. Today, the disappearance of Irina Safonova continues to haunt the city of Novosibirsk. What happened to Irina on that night? Was she the victim of a random act of violence? Or was her disappearance part of a larger, more sinister scheme? And perhaps more importantly, will the truth ever come to light? Or will Irina's story remain forever shrouded in mystery? What if Irina's disappearance was carefully planned by someone within her inner circle, hiding their true intentions behind a facade of normalcy? What secrets lay buried in the streets of Novosibirsk, waiting to be unearthed by those brave enough to seek them out? And ultimately, will justice ever be served for Irina Safonova, or will her fate remain a mystery for eternity?
In the heart of California's southern Sierra Nevada, within the vast wilderness of Sequoia and Kings Canyon National Parks, A story unfolded in July 1996 that remains etched in the memories of those who knew Randy Morganson. This tale intertwines the mysteries of nature with human emotion, highlighting the life and perplexing disappearance of an experienced backcountry ranger. James Randall "Randy" Morganson, born in 1945 in Yosemite Valley, was no stranger to the wild. His life was deeply connected to the national parks, having grown up and graduated from Yosemite National Park Valley School. For Randy, the Sequoia and Kings Canyon National Park wasn't just a workplace but a sanctuary, where he spent 28 seasons as a seasonal backcountry ranger, guiding and protecting the land he loved. Described by his peers as one of the most knowledgeable rangers in the High Sierra, Randy's days started with a slow morning, savoring coffee and the stunning views outside his tent. He was a man who took the time to immerse himself in the beauty of the dawn, preparing for the day's work with a reflective calmness. His friend George Durkee remembered him as someone who approached each day and every visitor with a gentle, low-key demeanor, ensuring everyone's safety while preserving the park's pristine condition. Randy's dedication was evident in his disdain for visitors who left traces of their presence in the wilderness. He was known to carry gunny sacks on his patrols, collecting garbage left behind by those he humorously dubbed Swinus Americanus. His commitment to the park went beyond a ranger's duties. It was a personal mission to safeguard the beauty of the wilderness for future generations. On July 21, 1996, Randy embarked on what was supposed to be a routine patrol in his 80-square-mile area, starting from Bench Lake Station. He left a note on his tent, indicating his plans to be away for 2 to 3 days, but mistakenly wrote June instead of July. Randy took essentials for the journey but left behind his revolver, suggesting no anticipation of danger. This departure into the mountains was the last time anyone saw Randy alive. When days passed without any radio check-in from Randy, concern grew among his colleagues. Rick Sanger, another backcountry ranger, discovered the note on Randy's tent and reported him missing. The search that ensued was one of the most intense in National Park Service history, involving over 100 personnel combing through the wilderness, yet no trace of Randy was found. Randy's life surfaced during the investigation, revealing a man grappling with emotional turmoil. His marriage had ended in divorce after an affair came to light, leading to bouts of depression and suicidal thoughts. Randy had expressed a deep sense of loss and questioning of his life's worth, hinting at a profound inner struggle. After a thorough search yielded no results, Randy's disappearance remained a mystery until 2001, when his remains were discovered near a creek in a gorge. It appeared Randy had suffered a tragic accident, possibly falling through a snow bridge and succumbing to his injuries, hidden from the extensive searches by the snow and ice. The theories surrounding Randy's disappearance are as varied as they are speculative. Some believe he may have staged his death to secure benefits for his ex-wife, while others think it was simply a tragic accident. It remains clear that Randy Morganson's story is a poignant reminder of the unpredictable nature of the wilderness he loved and served, and the human fragility that can be exposed in its vast expanses. Randy's legacy lives on in the trails he patrolled and the memories of those who knew him. His life and disappearance in the Sequoia and Kings Canyon National Parks are a testament to the complex relationship between humans and the natural world, a relationship filled with beauty, danger, and sometimes unsolvable mysteries. Martin O'Connor lived in the peaceful town of LaPorte, Texas. At 58, he was known for his connection to nature and a desire to seek solace. One day, Martin's life took an unexpected turn, leading him to the vast expanse of the Grand Canyon. It all began on December 15, 2019, when Martin abruptly left his brother's home, leaving behind a note that hinted at a quest to sort things out. A mysterious package postmarked from Coconino County arrived days later, containing Martin's passport, a will, and other personal things. Concerns grew as no one could reach Martin, and his brother revealed a past attempt to return to a monastery in Colorado, ending in denial. On December 23rd, Martin's family reported him missing. He was last seen on December 22nd at the Yavapai Lodge in Grand Canyon National Park. Extreme winter weather gripped the region. At night, the temperature should drop to -8 degrees. The park officials, faced with scant information, investigated the missing persons. A national outpouring of concern followed, and hope intertwined with worry as the search for Martin unfolded. The search for Martin O'Connor commenced as winter winds howled through the Grand Canyon. Park rangers faced the challenges of harsh weather and the uneven surface of the Grand Canyon. Following the unfolding drama, the public anxiously awaited updates on Martin's fate. On December 30th, a press release captured national attention, bringing Martin's plight to the forefront. Within the snow flurries and biting cold, rangers tirelessly scoured the New Hants Trail, an unmaintained rim-to-river path favored by experienced adventurers. The search reached its climax on January 2nd, when a tip from hikers led rangers to a stunning discovery: Martin O'Connor walking 3 miles below the rim. Martin called out, not seeking assistance, but wanting rangers to know his location. This news was a beacon of hope for Martin's family. He was rescued safely on January 2nd, 2020. Many questions tempered the relief of Martin's safe discovery. Well-wishers expressed their joy online, but curiosity persisted. Why was Martin in the canyon without a permit? What transpired during those 11 days? This was a crucial question, as surviving in the -8-degree temperature was a question. According to the reports, Martin was incredibly fit and accustomed to the elements. Only Martin O'Connor knew the intricacies of his journey. From checking out of Yavapai Lodge on December 22nd to interacting with hikers on January 2nd, the suspenseful saga of his disappearance had an unexpected twist. A man battling his mind, navigating the wilderness of the Grand Canyon and his inner struggles. On a seemingly ordinary morning in the heart of summer, Joseph Joe Kolotsky, a dedicated park ranger with 13 years of experience, prepared for his day with the same passion and commitment that had defined his career. Nestled within the majestic landscape of the Blue Ridge Parkway in North Carolina, Joe was more than just a ranger. He was a beacon of knowledge, safety, and respect for the natural world he so dearly loved. With a heart as vast as the park he protected, Joe left behind his wife and 3 children that day, embarking on what was to be a routine patrol that turned tragically into his final act of service. June 21st, 1998, dawned with the promise of another beautiful day in the park. Joe's mission was clear: to respond to a report of an individual armed with a rifle threatening the safety and peace of visitors at the Big Witch Overlook. Such calls were standard, and Joe's experience equipped him with the skills to handle potential dangers. However, the events of that day would unfold in a way that no training could have prepared him for. As Joe approached the scene, his keen instincts as a seasoned ranger led him to identify the suspect from a distance. For the safety of the park visitors and his fellow rangers, he made a tactical decision. He radioed a colleague, advising them to keep out of sight until they could devise a plan to manage the situation safely. It was a testament to Joe's leadership and commitment to protect at all costs. Turning his patrol car around, Joe returned to the overlook, ready to confront the threat. It was a decision made in the blink of an eye, fueled by his unwavering sense of duty. But fate delivered a cruel blow as he began to step out of his vehicle. Joe was ambushed and shot by the very individual he sought to disarm peacefully. The tranquility of the park was shattered by the echo of gunfire, marking a tragic end for a proper guardian of nature. The aftermath was a blur of activity and emotion. Another ranger arriving on the scene found themselves under fire before the suspect fled into the dense woods, disappearing into the very wilderness Joe had dedicated his life to protecting. Despite the valiant efforts of his colleagues and the swift response of emergency services, Joe was flown to a hospital in Tennessee, where he was pronounced dead. The sanctuary he had served became the backdrop for an immeasurable loss. The man responsible for the attack was later apprehended on the neighboring Cherokee Indian Reservation, bringing a sad closure to a frantic manhunt. The community reeled in the wake of the tragedy, grappling with the loss of a ranger who was not only an instructor of officer safety and defensive tactics, but also a beloved husband and father. The sentence handed down to the assailant, mandatory life without parole, offered a measure of justice, yet it could never compensate for the future Joe's family was robbed of. In the years following Joe's untimely death, his legacy has been honored and remembered in many ways. Memorials and tributes have celebrated his life and service, each echoing the profound impact he had on those who knew him in the park he watched over. Joe's story, marked by dedication, bravery, and an unwavering commitment to preserving the natural beauty, inspires a sense of duty and respect for the wilderness in the hearts of rangers and visitors alike. As the seasons change and the years pass, the memory of that fateful day in June remains a poignant reminder of the sacrifices made by those who serve as stewards of our national parks. Joseph Kolotsky, whose life was cut tragically short in the line of duty, lives on as a symbol of courage and a testament to the spirit of all park rangers who put their lives on the line to protect and preserve the natural wonders entrusted to their care. The Great Grand Canyon is significant due to its history, majesty, and vastness. This story is about Floyd Roberts III, who loved nature, and his explorer nature brought him to the Grand Canyon. This is where the Grand Canyon tested his willpower and put him in a horrific tale for coming visitors. The story begins in June 2016, when the western part of the Grand Canyon, Arizona, witnessed burning temperatures, with records reaching 36 degrees Celsius. The intense heat created challenging conditions for hiking, making it critical for visitors to stay hydrated and take precautions. The surrounding landscape, characterized by stony ground and stunning views, added to the beauty of the adventure. However, the harsh conditions also posed risks, and tragically, Roberts went missing, with no clue in the vastness of 17 square miles. Ned Bryant and Floyd Roberts have been hiking together in the Grand Canyon since 1992. Over 2 decades, the two friends established an exemplary friendship. Bryant was a board member of the Grand Canyon Hikers and Backpackers Association, and Roberts was a professional hiker. On June 16, 2016, Roberts planned the hike with Ned Bryant and his daughter, Madeline Bryant. The trio started on a 9-day journey across the Shivwitz Plateau. They planned to exit the canyon through Separation Canyon, with dreams of riverside camping in the starting days and an optimistic finish on June 26th. Equipped with 2 gallons of water, a week's worth of food, and vital hiking gear, Roberts joined the expedition prepared for the challenges ahead. The group faced a decision point on a hill at 4:45 p.m. as the sun dipped behind the canyon walls. Roberts decided to take a different route. The plan was to reunite on the other side of the hill. Suspense turned to concern when, at the decided point, Roberts was nowhere to be found, and anxious moments turned into a desperate search. Bryant and his daughter started to look for Roberts on the road, but Floyd had vanished, leaving the canyon into a mystery. According to sources, Roberts was last seen near Kelly Tanks. He was heading towards Trail Canyon. This area was known as the Western Grand Canyon Parashant National Monument. Roberts' disappearance urged Bryant and his daughter to camp for the night, hoping that Roberts would return. The next day, when the hope decreased, they hiked to an area with mobile signals. They reported Floyd missing to the National Park Service on Saturday, June 18th. The day the search team started operations, the temperature went to 33 degrees C. Despite the extreme heat conditions, the search team, which consisted of 15 people, did its best to locate the 52-year-old hiker. With sniffer dogs leading the way, the search became a collective effort. 7 ground teams and the National Park Service (NPS) helicopter descended upon the Rocky Canyon. The search covered over 10 square miles of challenging landscape. The Grand Canyon Parashant National Monument and Mojave County residents joined forces with the Grand Canyon National Park Search and Rescue Team. The search extended to the Coconino County Search and Rescue, as the combined efforts navigated the remote and rough canyon landscape. As this was a rocky area, transportation to this isolated landscape required hours of patience. A makeshift base camp was set up near Kelly Tanks to provide the dedicated search teams with shade, water, food, and essential resources. They pressed on for 6 days, battling the relentless heat and challenging canyon, tirelessly scouring the canyon's depths. Although the search teams needed more space to look for Roberts, he was nowhere to be found. As the 7th day dawned, a tough decision surfaced. On June 24th, the search was scaled back, and authorities shifted into a mode of limited yet continuous efforts. The Grand Canyon, echoing with mystery, continued challenging those who sought answers amidst its grandeur. Roberts' disappearance is still a mystery and caution for other hikers who dare to explore the untamed Grand Canyon. 2015, in the vast expanse of the Grand Canyon, a young geology student named Drake Kramer disappeared without a trace. The canyon, stretching over 285 square miles, became a mysterious puzzle for search and rescue teams. Drake, a 21-year-old from San Antonio, Texas, went on an unfortunate journey that distressed his worried parents, Robin and Brenda Kramer. It all began on a Saturday, January 31, 2015, when Drake was last spotted at the south rim of the Grand Canyon. Little did anyone know that this would be the starting point of a horrific tale. Drake checked out of the Bright Angel Lodge the following day, and from that moment he vanished from the sight of his friends and family. Unaware of his plans, his parents were fighting in a tense situation when they received a puzzling text message from their son. In the text, Drake cryptically stated that he needed to be with Mother Earth, leaving his parents worried and concerned. No one knew his plan. He may have gone hiking or gone somewhere. Drake's father, Mr. Kramer, shed light on his son's recent state of mind. Just days before he went missing, Drake seemed to be in good spirits when they watched the film American Sniper together on January 29th. Mr. Kramer revealed that his son, who worked at Lowe's and studied geology at Northwest Vista College, had recently started school. When they tried to contact his friends, they said Drake was staying with one of his colleagues. His parents, attempting to unravel the mystery, texted their son on Sunday, questioning his whereabouts. To their shock, they learned that Drake had unexpectedly traveled over 1,000 miles to Arizona. His father, Mr. Kramer, expressed that such impulsive behavior was entirely out of character for his son. Drake was an experienced adventurer and had visited the Grand Canyon several times. After receiving his missing report, the National Park Service searched ground and air. The vastness of the Grand Canyon became a challenge for the search and rescue teams. A search team started the search operation on the ground and by air. Despite their unstopped efforts, no further breakthroughs came. The suspense spread like a heavy fog, thick with uncertainty and unanswered questions. The search parties fought with the challenges of the bumpy surface and the blazing sun, but they did not find any clue. The heart of the Grand Canyon did not reveal its secrets, and Drake Kramer remained missing. No one knew what had happened to him on that fateful day. With its towering cliffs and rugged landscapes, the canyon silently witnessed the unresolved mystery. The harsh nature of the Grand Canyon resonated with the unanswered questions surrounding Drake's disappearance, leaving the search parties with a sense of helplessness. The story of Drake Kramer, the geology student who vanished into the Grand Canyon's vastness, remained uncertain. With its enigmatic twists and turns, the canyon had tested the limits of suspense, leaving the search parties with a profound realization. Some mysteries nature keeps hidden, and some tales may never find their resolution. The strength of the human spirit in the face of the unknown nature was tested by the challenging landscape and the haunting absence of answers. The missing story of Drake Kramer became a severe alarm of nature's mysteries.
In June of 2023, a young firefighter named Maxim Mikasev vanished during a forest fire in the Krasnoyarsk territory. He was just 21 years old. Now let's break down what happened. Maxim was on duty with his team, battling a forest fire in the remote Tasivsky district. It was a tough job, but he was dedicated to protecting the wilderness he loved. Then, on the night of June 20th, things took a turn for the worse. During dinner, tensions rose among the firefighters. Some say it was because of alcohol. Whatever the reason, a fight broke out, and Maxim was in the middle of it. With fists flying and tempers flaring, he decided to leave. He didn't take his phone or any of his stuff. He just walked off into the forest, barefoot and alone. When his colleagues realized he was gone, they searched for him. They called out his name, but there was no answer. As the sun started to rise, they knew they had to do something. They called the police and the rescue teams, hoping they could find Maxim before it was too late. The search was intense. Rescuers ventured through the forest looking for any sign of Maxim. They used dogs to sniff out his scent and helicopters to search from above. But despite their efforts, there was no trace of him. As time passed, Maxim's family grew more desperate for answers. His mother, Evgenia Makovetskaya, turned to social media, begging for help. She couldn't understand why her son would just disappear like that. She was sure something terrible had happened to him. In October, the search resumed with even more people involved. They covered hundreds of kilometers, searching every inch of the forest, but still there was no sign of Maxime. Now let's talk about the theories. Some people think Maxime got lost in the forest. Maybe he wandered off and couldn't find his way back. Others believe he was attacked by an animal like a bear or a wolf. And then there are those who think something more sinister happened. They say Maxime's colleagues had something to do with his disappearance. Maybe they hurt him and then covered it up. Throughout this mysterious disappearance, the community joined in the relentless search effort. Maxime's story became a haunting mystery that gripped the hearts of many. Days passed that eventually turned into months, but Maxime's whereabouts remained a mystery lost in the wilderness. The changing seasons painted the forest in different hues, but the truth behind Maxime's disappearance remained hidden, surrounded by uncertainty and speculation. Each passing day brought a new theory, a new possibility, but no definitive answers. So what if Maxime really did get lost in the forest? What if he's out there somewhere, scared and alone, waiting to be found? Or what if he was attacked by an animal? It's a terrifying thought, but it could explain why there's been no sign of him. And then there's the possibility that someone hurt him. It's a chilling idea, but until Maxime is found, we won't know for sure what happened to him. The mystery of his disappearance lingers, haunting those who knew him and leaving a void that can only be filled by the truth.
Stefan Sue, a young man from Dracut, Massachusetts, disappeared into the snowy expanse of Mount Washington on March 10, 2023. He was 21, adventurous, but lacking in experience for such a dangerous terrain. His decision to hike alone on that tragic day set off a chain of events that would baffle investigators and haunt his loved ones. Before Stefan's disappearance, life seemed ordinary. He lived in Dracut, a small town in Massachusetts, where he worked odd jobs and spent time with friends. But Stefan had a yearning for adventure, a desire to explore beyond the familiar confines of his hometown. So, when the opportunity arose to hike Mount Washington, he seized it eagerly. On the morning of March 10th, Stefan bid farewell to his family and set off on his solo trip. His car, a Honda Civic, carried him to the base of the mountain, where he parked at Pinkham Notch Visitor Center. From there, he went into the wilderness, his footsteps leaving faint imprints in the snow-covered trails. Hours passed, and Stefan's absence grew concerning. His family waited anxiously for his return, but as night fell and he failed to appear, they knew something was wrong. Frantic calls to his phone went unanswered, adding to the mounting dread. Authorities were notified of Stefan's disappearance, sparking a massive search effort. Fish and game conservation officers, U.S. Forest Service snow rangers, and volunteers searched the mountain everywhere, braving the biting cold and whipping winds in search of any sign of him. The search teams faced numerous challenges. Mount Washington is notorious for its harsh conditions, with unpredictable weather and rough terrain making search efforts difficult. Deep snow blanketed the landscape, obscuring potential clues and making progress slow. Despite their best efforts, the search teams found nothing. Tips from witnesses suggested Stefan may have been seen hiking in the Cutler River drainage area a couple of days before his disappearance. Others claimed to have spotted him on the Mount Washington Auto Road shortly before he went missing. But these leads proved to be dead ends, leaving searchers frustrated and baffled. Weeks passed. Stefan's family and friends grew desperate for answers. Searching his car, they found a clue, a receipt from a sporting goods store, indicating a purchase of equipment for a summit hike. This discovery sent chills down their spines, realizing Stefan may have been ill-prepared for the mountain's harsh conditions. Compounding their worries was Stefan's history of mental illness. His family revealed that he had struggled with mental health issues since his teenage years, raising concerns about his state of mind at the time of his disappearance. Could his mental health have played a role in his decision to hike alone? It was a troubling question that added another layer of complexity to the investigation. Despite the lack of concrete evidence, theories began to emerge about what might have happened to Stefan. Some speculated that he may have become lost or injured while hiking, unable to find his way back to safety. Others feared he may have succumbed to the elements, alone and afraid in the harsh wilderness. But as the days stretched into weeks, the truth was still elusive. Stefan's fate remained a mystery, leaving his family and friends with more questions than answers. As the seasons changed and time marched on, the memory of Stefan Sue lingered in the hearts of those who knew him. However, amidst the uncertainty and despair, hope remained. Hope that one day Stefan would be found, and his loved ones would finally have closure. Until then, they clung to memories of happier times and the belief that somewhere, somehow, Stefan's spirit still roamed the mountains he loved so dearly. June 30th, 2016, was a day etched into the memory of all who knew Brian Roback, a young man with dreams as high as the peaks he loved to climb. He was an aspiring actor and videographer, and had worked and appeared as an extra in films like Paul Blart Mall Cop 2, Jason Bourne, and Sunflower. He graduated with a film degree from the University of Nevada in Las Vegas. He also played King Nebuchadnezzar at the 2014 Forever Faithful International Camporee, and lots of people loved him for that role. He had already made several promotional videos for Big Lake Youth Camp, and all of his achievements promised a very bright future. However, everything changed for the worse one tragic day. It started like any other day at the Big Lake Youth Camp, where Roback worked as a videographer and media director. Roback made a decision that would change everything, and it was to set out on a solo hike to explore Mount Washington, a challenge he'd faced before, but this time without ropes. The journey began with optimism, with Roback's footsteps echoing in the quiet of the mountain. With each step, he felt a sense of freedom. As the hours passed, Roback ascended higher and higher, fueled by determination and a love for adventure that pulsed through his veins. At around noon, he reached the summit, a moment of triumph captured in a photo sent to his family and friends. But what should have been a moment of celebration soon turned into a nightmare. As Roback began his descent, the terrain proved to be more dangerous than he anticipated. Loose rocks and unstable ground made each step perilous, and with no ropes to guide him, every move carried the weight of uncertainty. It was during this descent that tragedy struck. In a heartbeat, Roback lost his footing, and before he could grasp onto anything, he plummeted into the abyss below. The news of Roback's disappearance shocked his whole community of friends, family, and peers. Search and rescue teams sprang into action, scouring the mountain for any sign of the missing climber. For days they combed through the rugged landscape, their hearts heavy with the fear of what they might find. And then, on July 2nd, 2016, their worst fears were realized when an Oregon Army National Guard helicopter spotted Roback's lifeless body on the eastern flank of Mount Washington. As the reality of Roback's passing sank in, those who knew him struggled to come to terms with the loss. He was more than just a climber. He was a friend, a colleague, a son. His absence left a void that could never be filled. Yet amidst the grief, there was also a sense of gratitude for the time spent with him, for the memories shared. Brian was described by others as funny, loving, and enthusiastic, which is why his loss was both very unexpected and heart-wrenching. In the days that followed, tributes poured in from all who knew him, each one a testament to the impact Roback had on those around him. From his colleagues at Big Lake Youth Camp to his fellow climbers, everyone had a story to share about the young man who had touched their lives in ways they never thought possible. And though he may have left this world too soon, his enthusiasm lives on in the hearts of those who knew him.
In the tranquil city of Oakley, California, a community was shaken by the disappearance of a young girl, Araya Morning. At just 17 years old, Araya vanished into the thin air of a cool February night, setting off a series of events that would captivate and concern her community. This tale unfolds in a quiet neighborhood where the streets, usually bustling with the sounds of everyday life, grew silent in the wake of her absence. Araya, a petite girl with a presence much larger than her 5'1" stature, was known for her vibrant personality and unmistakable laugh. Her black hair and brown eyes were familiar and comforting sights to those who knew her well. On the night of February 15, 2024, she was last seen wearing a dark leather jacket and black leggings, attire that spoke to her unique style and spirit. The location of her last sighting, near the crossroads of Rocky Mountain Way and Grand Canyon Circle, would soon become the focal point of a desperate search. The Oakley Police Department, upon learning of Araya's disappearance, acted swiftly to issue an Amber Alert, a call to action that underscored the urgency of finding her. This alert, spreading through Alameda and Contra Costa counties, was a beacon to community vigilance, prompting residents to keep their eyes peeled for any sign of the missing teen. Araya's sudden departure from her home on the 400 block of Rocky Mountain Way was way out of character, even though she had a history of brief, unannounced departures. Her parents, gripped by a mixture of hope and fear, initially hesitated to involve the police, clinging to the belief that Araya would return just as suddenly as she had left. However, as hours turned into days without a word from their daughter, they realized this time was different. The community's response was immediate and heartwarming. Messages of hope and prayers flooded social media, with residents and strangers alike expressing their concern and wishing for Araya's safe return. As the Oakley Police Department delved deeper into the investigation, the absence of clear leads or sightings of Araya post-disappearance added layers of complexity to the case. Yet the resolve of both the officers and the community remained unshaken. Tip lines buzzed with potential sightings and information, each call serving as a thread in the larger tapestry of the search effort. The narrative of Araya Morning's disappearance is a story of a community united by concern and hope. It is a reminder of the fragility of safety and strength found in collective action. As the search continues, the spirit of Oakley shines brightly, a beacon of hope in the quest to bring Araya home. This story, marked by the absence of its protagonist, is not just about a missing teenager. It's a testament to the resilience of a community faced with uncertainty. With a blend of humor to lighten the heartache, the tale weaves through the efforts to find Araya, highlighting the peculiarities of human nature and the bonds that tie a community together in times of crisis. The investigation into Araya Morning's whereabouts remains ongoing, a puzzle yet to be solved. As detectives piece together the events of that February night, the community of Oakley holds its breath, awaiting the moment when Araya walks back through her door into the embrace of a family and a community that has missed her dearly. The story of Araya Morning is far from over, but it serves as a poignant reminder of the strength found in hope and the power of a community that refuses to give up. On a brisk spring morning in 1991, Daniel Campbell, known to his friends as Dan, found himself at a crossroads in life. A 42-year-old resident of Big Timber, Montana, Dan had the rugged, weathered look of a man accustomed to the outdoors. His life, marked by a series of unwise choices, had led him to a moment of desperate decision-making. Financially strained and seeking a way out, he turned to the wilderness he knew so well for a solution. Though fraught with legal risks, Dan's plan seemed straightforward. He would venture into Yellowstone National Park to hunt for elk antlers. Despite the illegality of this act in the park, Dan, an experienced outdoorsman with notable survival skills, felt confident in his abilities. He had previously marked a trail through the challenging terrain of the Hell Roaring Trail area, intending to return and collect the valuable antlers. April 6th dawned with the promise of adventure as Dan set off from the Hell Roaring Trailhead, accompanied by his loyal Australian shepherd, Freckles, and carrying a backpack filled with supplies for their 2-day hike. He felt a familiar thrill. The plan was to hike from Hell Roaring to Jardine, Montana, picking up the hidden antlers. His girlfriend was to meet him in Jardine on April 8th, a detail that underscored the precise nature of his plan. The Hell Roaring Trail was a path less traveled, a place where the wild heart of Yellowstone beat strongest. As Dan and Freckles embarked on their journey, the landscape unfolded in rugged splendor. Towering trees, the distant peaks, and the untamed rivers formed a backdrop that had always felt like home to Dan. However, unknown to Dan, his venture coincided with a sudden and severe spring snowstorm, transforming the landscape into a treacherous maze. The wilderness he knew so well became an unforgiving expanse, obscuring paths and landmarks under a blanket of white. When April 8th arrived and Dan did not appear in Jardine, concern quickly escalated into alarm. His girlfriend, fraught with worry, reported him missing, triggering a search operation that would soon reveal the complex layers of Dan's journey. The discovery that he had been antler hunting added a layer of urgency and illegality to the search. Well aware of the risks associated with this illicit activity, park rangers and law enforcement intensified their efforts. Days turned into weeks, and the extensive search by ground teams and air support yielded no trace of Dan or Freckles. The vast expanse of Yellowstone, coupled with the inclement weather, made the search daunting. The puzzling absence of any sign of Dan or his belongings deepened the mystery. Dan's family, particularly his three brothers, became increasingly involved in the search, their concern growing into frustration as days passed without any leads. The lack of evidence, the unanswered questions about the gunshots heard by other hikers, and the discovery of a suspicious campsite only added layers of complexity to the case. The possibility of foul play began to take root in the minds of Dan's loved ones. The untested confiscated camping gear, the ammunition, and the rumors of altercations in the woods all pointed to a narrative far more sinister than a mere disappearance. Yet without concrete evidence, law enforcement maintained the classification of the case as a missing person. Years passed, and the mystery of Dan Campbell's disappearance remained unsolved, leaving a lingering sense of loss and unresolved questions. The rugged trails of Yellowstone held their secrets close, and for Dan's family, the ache of not knowing what happened on that fateful spring day in 1991 endured. In the heart of Yellowstone, where the hell-roaring creek meets the Yellowstone River, the forest silence seemed to echo with the untold story of Dan Campbell and Freckles. Their tale of adventure turned tragedy became a haunting reminder of nature's unpredictability and the profound impact of a single decision. Yellowstone National Park is famous for its geological significance. The park is a hotspot for wildlife lovers, offering the chance to witness diverse species such as grizzly bears, wolves, and herds of bison in their natural habitat. The park's expansive landscapes showcase dramatic canyons, alpine rivers, and pristine lakes, contributing to its status as a UNESCO World Heritage Site. This story took place inside the vast boundaries of Yellowstone National Park. On an ordinary day in Teton Village, September 19, 2009, Catherine Ann Major, a 53-year-old woman, vanished without a trace. Her story is full of mystery, puzzling investigators and online detectives alike. This story revolves around the events around Catherine's disappearance, trying to make sense of the pieces of this intense cold case. In the quiet corners of Catherine's life, her love revolved around 2 children and 2 cherished cats. On that fateful day, September 18, 2009, Catherine found herself at the elegant Four Seasons Resort in Teton Village, Wyoming. Little did she know that this visit would change the course of her story. Caught in the watchful eyes of surveillance cameras, Catherine was captured stealing a master key to the spa and pilfering belongings worth $714 from the resort. It was a puzzling act. Catherine had money, yet she chose to steal. The reasons behind her actions remained a mystery as she was apprehended, adding an unexpected twist to the chapters of her life. As the clock ticked away on the afternoon of September 19th, the resort's authorities knocked on Catherine's room door. Confronted with the weight of the allegations, Catherine faced a pivotal moment. In an unexpected turn, she agreed to settle the dispute by paying the contested amount. In a gesture of leniency, the resort pledged not to press charges, but on one condition: she had to leave the resort immediately. Understanding the gravity of the situation, Catherine committed to the deal and assured the officers that she wouldn't engage in further misconduct. As the sun dipped lower in the sky, security returned to Catherine's room an hour later. The time was 4 p.m., and the air was filled with uncertainty. To their surprise, Catherine was nowhere to be found. The room, however, held traces of her presence, with most of her belongings scattered in silent testimony. The mystery deepened as the shadows of that September day concealed Catherine's whereabouts, leaving investigators with unanswered questions. In the shadow of Teton Village's towering peaks, Catherine Major's mysterious departure left more questions than answers. Leaving behind a note that echoed concern for her cats, she entrusted their care to unknown hands. As the sun dipped below the horizon, her car stood silent in the hotel parking lot, a testament to the mystery that shrouded her sudden disappearance. She may have booked a taxi or used public transport to go. When Catherine vanished without a trace, her sister rushed in from California, determined to unravel the mystery. Together, they enlisted the help of specialized search dogs, hoping to follow the scent of the enigma surrounding Catherine's disappearance. Authorities, too, joined the relentless search, scouring the familiar haunts of Snake River, the looming mountains, and the echoing caverns popular among hikers. The search echoed with the barks of determined search dogs and the worried whispers of a family desperate for answers. Despite the exhaustive efforts, no sign of Catherine emerged, leaving the mountains and caverns silent witnesses to the unanswered questions in the air. In their quest for resolution, Catherine's family turned to digital platforms, filing missing reports on numerous online platforms. Yet as the years passed, the mystery persisted, shrouding Catherine's fate in unimaginable suspense. The question of whether she was alive or had succumbed to an unknown fate lingered, casting a somber shadow over the unanswered chapters of her life.